Will the coming local campaign and elections be different from the previous ones? To answer that and more, we have back on the show our first ever guest on Morning Matters, political strategist Alan Herman, joining us live via Zoom. Magandang umaga sa iyo.
Good morning, Gresham. Wow, what a day it's been, exciting and full of activity. That was very interesting to see what's been happening in Marikina and Makati, and it's happening all over in various cities. Alam mo naman, day one, ganyan talaga. You have to muscle flex and you have to campaign as if you've already won. So that's the norm. That's the normal. That's the norm.
Well, Alan, when we had you on the first day of this show, we were talking about an already complicated political backdrop of the campaign period, which was the pending or upcoming impeachment trial of the Vice President, at pangalawa, yung rivalry ng Dutertes and Marcoses. And now, a Duterte arrest has been added to the list. What do you expect of the political climate in the next 45 days leading up to the elections?
Wow, so much has happened since we last spoke, no, Gretchen? You're right. You just came from The Hague, huffing and puffing all over the place, running all over the city. You need to work on your cardio, Gretchen. And as far as local politics are concerned, alam mo, I personally appreciate local politics more. This moves me more. I get more excited with local politics because on the local level, the constituents are actually looking more for solutions rather than distractions. On the national level, for some reason, it's odd. It's a Filipino phenomenon for sure. It is very distinct in the Philippines that on the national scale, in terms of countrywide, our voters will tend to look for who can distract them the best, who can make them laugh, who can make them cry, who can stir up emotions the most, who captures their fancy or their kursunada is the very nuanced Filipino word we use on the national scale, which is odd because these are the leaders of our country. But on the local level, what's very interesting is that the constituents look more for solutions. Sinong makakaayos ng kalsada? Sinong makakagawa ng health center? Sinong makakagawa ng ospital? Sinong makapagbibigay ng consistent at reliable na kuryente? Sino makapagbababa ng real property tax, halimbawa? So, mas nakaka-excite in local in that sense because, well, admittedly, the bangayan, the back and forth between rival candidates, is actually more colorful on the local level.
How do you think will the Marcos-Duterte rivalry play a role in the local elections? Of course, may makinarya yung administrasyon at kabila niyan, malakas ang base ng mga Dutertes, especially online. I mean, how do you think could that play into the local elections? Or do you think that's totally separate and distinct from what's happening since you're talking about local solutions?
Well, geographically, that plays a big part. Obviously, in areas like the North, for example, if we're looking at the so-called solid North or consolidated North, the administration being plugged into the power source of the administration will play a big part. Can you just imagine kung ikaw yung LGU, tumatakbo ka bilang mayor or congressman, tapos dumating doon ang Pangulo kasama ang kanyang slate? That's a big muscle flex. And right now, it's all about, I keep on dipping back into this well, no? That's a very, very pronounced aspect of campaigning is really muscle flexing, showing that you're plugged into the power source. So malaking bagay yan when the local constituency, itong si mayor or itong si mayoralty candidate pala can make things happen dahil nakakabit siya sa administrasyon. Itong Pangulo, dumalo. Ito ang mga bigating senator, dumalo. Siya yung nasa entablado. Malaking bagay yun. But the geography plays more of a factor in this election because it's so highly polarized. The dividing line isn't a line, it's a chasm. So halimbawa, pag yung administration slate, definitely they would be hesitant, I would think, to visit Mindanao and the local government units and the candidates in Mindanao dahil alam naman natin, traditionally, historically, and factually, measurably, perhaps is the best word, Mindanao is very much a Duterte country. So may mga ganong nuances pag when you're trying to connect local and national campaigning. Pero huwag nating kalimutan, in terms of dynamics, as you mentioned, dynamic-wise, national candidates will get 70% of their votes from retail votes, and only 30% from machinery. In on the local level, baliktad yan. 60 to 70% of your votes will come from machinery or command votes, with only 30 to 40% coming from retail votes. So very interesting yung shift in terms of campaign strategies, tactics, and movements on the local level.
It's one thing to have support on the back end, but on the front end, do you think dapat iwasan ng mga local candidates yung pag-usapan itong nangyayari sa The Hague, sa national level? What issues should they be talking about to drive voter confidence?
Well, meron tayong tinatawag na again, the swing thought is always act global, strategize regional, think global, strategize regional, but act local. For politicians, maybe on the national scale, that applies very well. But on the local level, kailangan talaga ang touch points mo lokal. So you identify micro to macro. Ano ba yung mga problema per barangay? In fact, sa barangay 1, ang problema dito, yung tubig. Sa barangay 2, yung ilaw, madilim dito. Sa barangay 3, etc. And so on and so forth. So traditionally, local candidates wouldn't necessarily want to talk about issues of macro importance, and they would focus more on micro. I would think, especially in this under this scenario, kasi yung ICC, yung sovereignty, yung jurisdiction ng ICC, parang medyo malayo yan sa bituka if you're talking on a local level. Kasi ang hinahanap talaga nila, ayon sa latest data, yung tinatawag nating 2023 OAP, Order of Attribute Preferences. Ang hinahanap talaga ng botante, helps. Yun lang talaga. Health, education, livelihood, peace and order, social services. Yun lang ang hinahanap ng mga botante.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit and talk about the latest SWS numbers, which was taken from March 15 to 20. What stood out for you?
Well, a couple of things really, well, I wouldn't say shocked, but perhaps surprised me. Number one, the decline of senatorial candidate and former SILG Benhur Abalos. I was quite shocked at how far he fell down the rankings. He's been very active. He's had a lot of posters. He's had a lot of above the line advertising. So I was wondering about that. He clearly has the machinery, being a former SILG. So I was wondering about that. Imee Marcos, of course, stood out. Senator Imee, the way she has consistently, survey after survey, her trajectory is really downwards. I think that is a function or a result of her very strange political choices and her recent down the middle question mark political movements as far as picking a side are concerned. So I think that has sort of bit her from the back. Well, Senator Bongo jumping up to the number 1 spot, and Senator Bato moving up from 13 to 15. Now he's sort of on the safe zone, top 12. I think this is a suction effect because of what happened, those 2 inflection points, as you mentioned, when VP Sara was impeached and when former President Rodrigo Duterte was taken to The Hague. What happens there usually is there's a consolidation. The hardline voters and the hardline fans, the Duterte supporters, will really feel reignited, and they will have that sense of indignation, and they will really go strong to campaign and strong to consolidate their votes. So even the page 2 PDP candidates are now on page 1. You noticed Congressman Dante Marcoleta is now on page 1. Philip Salvador is now on page 1. And
Malapit
doing
na
well,
kay Imee Marcos. Oo.
Malapit na. Diba? Let me be the one in the Senate. Diba? Yung gandang-ganda sa'yo, Gretchen. Si Attorney Jimmy Bondo. Oo, nandun na rin sa page 1. So yun, apparently, he is the one. He's creeping up, diba? Yung falsetto niya, medyo gumagana.
But what do you think about the timing? We have 45 days left. Could we see major differences? Medyo nasa page 1 na pero malayo pa rin, ano? And it is a very competitive senatorial race. What do you think about the timing of everything that's been happening now? Could we see major shifts still with what we're seeing with the survey results?
In terms of senatorial, yeah, 45 days is still enough time. to make some seismic shifts. As far as the composition of the top 12 are concerned, I think um, the last survey, the March survey, I think already gives an idea. If you consolidate the survey firms, of course, hindi naman sila nag-iiba masyado. But magbabago lang yan in terms of ranking. But I think we already have a sort of a fuzzy picture, a pixelated picture of what the Senate composition will be like. But if you're asking, can there still be seismic shifts? Can there still be inflection points wherein the people who are currently maybe hanging on to the top 12, can they boomerang and springboard to the top? Absolutely, yes. We're thinking of candidates like Senator Bam Aquino, Senator Kiko Pangilinan, who are at the 13th and 14th spot. May ano pa yan, may runway pa sila to take off.
Puntahan naman natin, speaking of timing, the timing of Senator Imee Marcos. She started that investigation into the arrest of the former president. Do you think, naniniwala yung mga tao sa kanyang pagtindig para sa mga Duterte? At pangalawa, is it too late to be doing all of this? Or is it hurting her more kasi nalilito yung mga tao kung saan siya talaga?
Okay, to unpack. Naniniwala ba yung mga tao? To be fair to Senator Imee, if you look at her pronouncements, she has always been consistent. She has always been the advocate. I will use that word, siguro that's the best word to use. She has always been the advocate for pro-Duterte leanings. Really what works against her is the fact that she is undeniably the sister of the president. She carries the same name as he does. Marcos pa rin yan. Whatever you say. And sa Pilipinas, talagang very, very inherent sa atin yung blood is thicker than water. Iba yung pamilya sa Pilipinas. Pamilya pa rin yan. And Senator Imee is, at the end of the day, a Marcos. So when she makes these pronouncements, which she has, in fairness, again, been consistent with, she has been leaning towards Duterte inclinations. Talagang ever since the start, kinakalaban niya yung kapatid niya, madalas niyang batikusin ang administrasyon, their policies, their movements, culminating finally in this Senate hearing na she was very adversarial, I would have to say. Talagang medyo pointed yung mga tanong niya. She made very strong points, very clear-cut points. Malitong ginawa kay former President Rodrigo Duterte. So I think she has been clear in that respect. No? But again, Marcos yan. So that's still that question mark. The Dutertes cannot fully trust her because she's a Marcos. The Marcos side obviously cannot fully trust her because, my goodness, she does nothing but criticize the administration. She does nothing but question the policies being implemented and the approach that it was implemented by. So, ang hirap di ba? She's in that limbo. Makakatulong ba? I would think yes, because at this point, wala na yatang choice si Senator Imee. She has to take a stand. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. She's been straddling the middle ground for so long, and yun naman nangyari sa survey niya. Just in constant decline. Yung delta niya, pababa. So she's got to shake something up, and this is it.
Well, filial piety is definitely a top value for Filipinos. But how far do you think is the senator willing to take this? Attorney Sal Panelo did dare her to file an impeachment complaint against her own brother. Do you think she will go that far? Or hanggang dito na lang yan?
Okay, unang-unang mapapainom ako ng kape dahil dyan sa filial piety na yan. Grabe. Ganda pa ng cup ko. Yung filial piety na yan, yes. See, that's the challenge with Senator Imee. No? Again, she has to make a clear-cut stand. So the first thing that the Duterte side did, because they are right now very thirsty for allies. They really are. And if she does make a very dramatic, bold, undeniable loyalty check move, I would think that the Duterte side, at least some of them or even many of them, would finally say, alam mo, tanggapin na nga natin. Let's include her in our voting list because kailangan natin ng allies ngayon. Right now, the Duterte side are thirsty and hungry for allies because VP Sara is facing an impeachment. They need advocates in the Senate, hopefully to lobby for FPRRD to come home, which is, again, maybe not within the realm of possibility at this point. But looking over that, kailangan nila ng allies eh. So, ang unang-unang ginawa ni Attorney Sal Panelo is all-in ka. It cannot be, di ba, it's the equivalent of saying put your money where your mouth is. Kung talagang kumalas ka, then do something that will really cement your commitment. That's sort of like, the blood compacts of old.
Probably testing her.
Kasuhan mo yun. Oo, kasuhan mo yung kapatid mo. Personally, I don't think she will do it. I don't think she will do it. I think that will serve to alienate whatever support she has in the North. I think right now, if I was part of that campaign team, which I am most assuredly not, but if I was the senator and if I was part of her campaign team, I would think, let's take a stance. Let's finally make it clear where we stand. But at the same time, wag naman natin uupakan yung mga inherited supporters natin, whatever's left of them. So I don't think she'll do it.
Another shocking statement that the former spokesperson said was si Attorney Sal Panelo, sabi niya that PRRD's death could make the Vice President Sara, win as President. Medyo nakakagulat yun kasi parang sabi ng mga nasa social media, parang pinangunahan mo na yung maaaring mangyari. I mean, what is your read here of that statement and headless PDP laban? Does it look energized to you with the absence of the former president in campaign rallies?
Well, right now, okay. Unang-una yung sinabi ni Attorney Sal. We're going from, ano yung sinabi mo kanina, Gretchen? Filial piety. Filial piety. So, ngayon naman, morbid avoidance. Yan yung inherent din sa Pilipino yun eh. Di ba? Nakakagulat talaga yan pag narinig mo yung Pilipino talking about death, talking about, especially for such a beloved, almost mythical figure like the former president. So, syempre maraming nayanig doon. But honestly, and agnostically, I hope I don't get blamed for this, but where's the lie? Where's the lie? It will definitely have a dramatic effect. Can you just imagine how heartrending that will be if you were a Duterte supporter? And again, very clearly, disclaimer, bold, underline, italics. I am absolutely not wishing ill to the former president in any way, shape, or form. Pero can you just imagine the impact of that? If he does indeed pass while he's away from the country, while he is in The Hague, while he is isolated and alone, my goodness, that will, yun talaga, that will ignite furor and comparisons to the former president, Cory Aquino, were made at a time when the late former president, Noynoy Aquino, was not even considering running for president. And suddenly he shot up to the top post and he became eventually the president. So that's what I have to say about Attorney Sal's rather morbid point. Now, as far as the headless PDP is concerned, alam mo, ang problema dyan, both PRRD and VP Inday are away. They're in The Hague. And ang Pilipino, malakas yung out of sight, out of mind factor sa Pilipino. Life will go on. Even in the newsroom, Gretchen, you know this, di ba? Times 2 plus 2 rule. After 4 days, pag walang new angles na lumalabas, ang hirap buhayin yung storya. Wala nang pag-usapan. Ano ba bang pag-uusapan? It just so happens today is the birthday of the former president. But after that, what can we talk? What can you possibly talk about the issue, di ba? Like you said earlier, to Jovi, great recap, by the way, wow. I felt like I was there. Pero pag walang nangyayari, walang mapag-usapan, life will go on for Filipinos. So I don't know how long the PDP and the Duterte supporters can sustain this.
Which begs me to ask, should the Vice President come home sooner or later? Because there are calls for her to come home. And on one hand, she needs to be there to defend her father, to make sure she assembles the best team possible. And on the other hand, she has her duties here as Vice President. How does she strike a balance between The Hague and the Philippines? Should she be here, rallying the troops on?
Ako personally, if I had a say in it, if I had any sort of say in it, which I don't, again, I would actually come home if I was the vice president. I would really do triage in terms of prioritizing my political capital and my political base. Right now, mas may value si VP Inday dito for the if you were a Duterte supporter to
Do
help the
you
PDP
see?
slate. Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
To get new allies to the Senate, di ba, to help improve the numbers for her own impeachment trial. Kasi again, nanggaling ka sa Hague, no, Gretchen, and si Jovi nandun din, and he's experiencing the same thing. Talagang napakahirap naman ng procedures dun eh. I'm not sure how much FaceTime she's getting with the former president. 2 hours at best. And I think it has never been a secret naman that the former president and his daughter, although they have their own, pareho silang type A alpha personalities, so minsan nagkakaroon sila ng conflict, nagkakaroon sila ng konting initan. But I think it's very clear that they have a very strong father and daughter bond and relationship. So alam naman siguro ng former president yan that his daughter is there supporting him, whether in The Hague or at the Philippines. I think that support would better translate if she was in the Philippines.
Kaya nga pinapauwi na ni Digong ang kanyang anak no, from day one actually. But
Right.
last question, possible opportunities here for other candidates belonging outside the two families. We have the Liberal Party, we have alternative, we have alternative opposition. Do you see possible political realignments happening dito? Kasi merong mga rumors, di ba, na si Kiko at Bam kinakausap ng alyansa na dinispute nila. Anong naririnig mo on that end?
Well, ako yung in terms of rinig lang dinidisputan, syempre that will be officially disputed, pero ayon daw, di umano'y, allegedly, purportedly, supposedly, sa pagkakarinig ko, mukhang there are dialogues Mukhang there really are dialogues na i-adopt si Senator Kiko at si Senator Bam into that slate. That will be a very, very interesting development kasi first time yan mangyari. Siguro they're going to, perhaps it is an outward display of true unity and that serbisyo sa bayan, sa bansa, knows no colors. So I don't know how they're gonna spin that. But in terms of opportunity, in the last 45 days, sa tingin ko, too late na to make any dramatic shifts in alliance, but definitely after nagkabotohan sa Mayo, makikita mo, as in any midterm election, as in any referendum, magkakaroon na yan ng looking forward. They're already going to be looking at third forces. Kasi marami na rin, it cannot be denied that there is cannibalism happening. The Duterte and the Marcos fight, the feud, has really piled up, figuratively piled up bodies and has had a lot of casualties. So as that cannibalism is happening, maaaring may third force na tumayo, whether that be the Tulfos, the liberal parties, etc. Somebody can step up because of the feud happening between the two giants.
All right. Thank you so much for weighing in on that on such a big day. Maraming salamat for joining us. Cheers to you sa iyong kape. We have political strategist Alan Herman joining us on Morning Matters.